J. Cole's career is in the weirdest place it's ever been. In the last 2 months, J. Cole went from having the most anticipated album in hip hop right now to essentially going off the radar as Drake and Kendrick Lamar figure out their stuff. But as the beef is nearing its end, I think it's important to ask whether or not J. Cole can recover from the fallout of this whole situation.
Yeah, said I was finished, but I want another 2 summers.
Going into 2024, J. Cole had one of the best feature runs hip hop has ever seen.
On the night I was born, the rain was pouring, God was crying.
Regardless of whether you were a mainstream pop rapper or a lyrical rapper or even a K-pop artist, J. Cole was hopping on songs and stealing the show.
Cole and Yachty coming for their respect, come and pay your debt.
And through these features, J. Cole has been building up hype for the mythical The Fall Off that he's been hyping up since 2018. And to be fair to Cole, it seemed like the strategy was working out. If you compare the public's perception of J. Cole now compared to 2018, it's almost night and day. Where many fans called J. Cole an old head back in 2018 as an insult, it seems kind of endearing nowadays. Because nowadays, calling J. Cole an old head is equivalent to essentially complimenting his longevity. I mean, the guy's been rapping for close to 20 years at this point. And as of last year, he was topping the charts alongside Drake.
And they be terrible just like a 2-year-old.
And not only was he rapping alongside Drake, he out-rapped him.
When I show up, it's motion picture blockbuster, the goat with the golden pen, the top toucher.
However, whether we knew it or not, I guess it was this song that would eventually cause the downfall of J. Cole. Though there wasn't much to think about the Big 3 line on First Person Shooter, for whatever reason, one person that did take note and actually took offense was none other than Kendrick Lamar. And after months of Kendrick Lamar being in Kendrick Lamar hibernation, he just randomly popped up on Like That and shook up the hip hop world.
Talking out of their neck, don't put no coughing out of your mouth. I'm way too paranoid for a threat.
Matter of fact, I wouldn't even say just the hip hop world at this point. I'm willing to say that he shook up the world. I mean, it was just last year that people were saying hip hop was dead. And though most of the Like That verse was directed at Drake, some of the bars were also directed at J. Cole, which kind of disrupted what J. Cole had going on. Because in case you don't remember, J. Cole was really hyping up the release of The Fall Off, specifically with a vlog series called My Delete Later. Throughout these vlogs, Cole shared snippets, the workflow of the whole thing, while also showing the performances that he had alongside Drake. For the fans, it was definitely great, and for hip-hop fans as a whole, it was great to see the snippets that J. Cole was throwing out there. They sounded fresh. And the more we heard about this mythical fall off, the more we were excited to see it. But what Kendrick Lamar did with the Like That verse is that essentially he took the energy and hype that people had for J. Cole and transferred it over to himself, which honestly would make it even more puzzling when J. Cole would release a record shortly thereafter.
Dance as well as Chris Breezy when the bullets start straying careless. I won't let him.
As it turns out, the Might Delete Later blog series wasn't a way for him to hype up the fall off. It was a way for him to hype up the mixtape he had coming out, hyping up the fall off. Seriously, does that not sound confusing? But people weren't gonna complain because obviously there was gonna be a response record on this album, and that came in the way of 7 Minute Drill.
Yeah.
Though largely forgotten now / ignored, 7 Minute Drill was a decent track. It wasn't ether by any means, but it wasn't supposed to be that either. The record was simply a warning shot, and as a warning shot, I feel like it worked. Though I still feel as though he could have went in harder. Not necessarily with hateful bars, but just more witty ones.
Your first shit was classic, your last shit was tragic, your second shit put niggas to sleep.
I feel like that would have prevented Cole from saying To Pimp a Butterfly was overrated, and obviously Cole would have avoided some online clownery if he would have done that. But that's not what he did, and for a large part of hip-hop fans, it felt like a misfire. And honestly, the whole mixtape did, with Might Delete Later receiving mixed to bad reviews, with probably the best way to put it being that this record felt rushed. And now I'm not saying this record came out in reply to Kendrick Lamar, but it sure does feel like it. Like, I don't know, I feel like that would explain some of the missteps that came along the way. It was just not the best showing for J. Cole as a lyricist. And it also wasn't the best showing in terms of J. Cole the hitmaker. But of course, everybody kind of forgot about that when no more than 3 days after he released Might Delete Later, he apologized to Kendrick Lamar.
How many people think Kendrick Lamar is one of the greatest motherfuckers to ever touch a fucking microphone? Dreamville, y'all love Kendrick Lamar, correct? As do I.
In the apology, J. Cole would state that dissing Kendrick Lamar didn't feel right in his soul. Ultimately, he didn't even feel like Kendrick Lamar was really dissing him either, which, to be honest, is kind of factual. As we know now, Kendrick didn't really have a lot of smoke for Cole, at least not in comparison for what he had for Drake. And knowing this, Cole had to apologize. At least that's what he said he felt like he was supposed to do. And though he understood that many of hip-hop fans would feel like he was wrong, he needed some inner peace in terms of like having beef, and he called it quits right there and then, to which hip-hop fans lost it. The conversation all of a sudden became, Cole isn't in the big three. Cole was never really about that life. Cole needs to shut the fuck up. And these conversations got worse when Metro Boomin and Future released a follow-up to We Don't Trust You, and J. Cole was on the album.
Pluto got 20 girlfriends. Damn, I'm doing it wrong. Cut off all my hoes. Now I'm only putting.
And not only was Jermaine Cole on the album, he was talking about how he wasn't about that life.
Risk comes attraction. The blicks get the blast, and I turn it to a track star.
Now, most likely, this was recorded before the apology and even before the beef started, but the timing of it all just looked crazy. And at this moment, it seemed like J. Cole was the butt of the joke. When Drake released Push-Ups, he had a bar about how Cole wanted peace, but it wasn't him. An angle that Drake would double down on in Family Matters when he was like,
"A nigga Cole losing sleep on this, it ain't."
and it seemed like for about 2 or 3 weeks, the worst thing you could be in hip-hop was J. Cole, until people realized where the beef was heading.
A minor.
Yeah, the release of Family Matters and Meet the Grams was when most people realized, you know, J. Cole might have been onto something.
Pop beef. But here's the thing, though. I think, in a way, he's right.
And because of all of that drama, people looked at Cole and said, you know what, Cole? We understand. Which, by the way, I've never seen hip-hop fans be this understanding of a motherfucker. Like, I don't know. Hip-hop fans are usually pretty stubborn, and something like an apology would just never go down well, even if it made sense to apologize. But yeah, that's where we are at. Some people look at J. Cole like he was right, while others still don't respect. But for the most part, it does seem like J. Cole is enjoying his time. Us hip-hop fans haven't heard much from J. Cole, and the only thing we've seen in this whole beef is a picture of Cole on the beach. So, you know, maybe we didn't understand. Maybe Cole is soft, but for the most part, it seems like hip-hop fans have forgiven J. Cole. Anyways, yeah, I am working on the whole Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole video for like the album that never happened, but that's gonna be like a 20-minute long video, and I haven't done that in like 3 years, so pray for me. This is what you get in the meantime. With that being said, shout out to Jay Dilla, shout out to me, shout out to y'all, and shout out to God. Shout out to him, for real.